لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد الأمين، نبي الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين، وعلى آله وصحابته والتابعين له بإحسان يوم الدين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا. خاتمة فيما يطلب به والد وزوج ونحوهما من المسؤولين. ما يطلب به أب والد لأنه هو المسؤول، لا بد أن تفهموا أن الوالد هو المسؤول أبنه، والزوج ونحوهما ممن هو القائم.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is the final chapter in the responsibilities, what will be asked of, what is required of the father and the husband and others like them, meaning those in a position of leadership. Note, he did not say the spouse, he said the husband and he said the father, because these are the ones who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the responsibility that they will be asked, and also gave them the authority to carry out that responsibility, so that they can deal with those who are relying on them, who are not maybe in a situation where they either are weaker or in a situation where they are depending upon them. What is their responsibility in this case? The one who is the head of the household is the father, the husband. These are the leaders. People must have leaders. People will never be corrected if they have no leadership and role models. In any office building, you'll have a manager. Right? In a company, there's going to be a hierarchy. There's going to be the manager and the boss's boss and the boss's boss's boss. But then the true boss, is there 2 or 3 or 4 or one boss?
أنا كنت في مدرسة الزيتون القديمة، وكنت في ذلك الوقت بالثالثة والثلاثين من عمري.
I was in the old Zaytuna when I was 33 years old.
وجاء رجل يدعي أنه خريج من الجامعة.
And there came a man who supposedly was very highly educated and he has his doctorate or whatever, and he was very proud of his education as an intellectual.
وكنت جالسا كالعادة أمام بعض الطلاب.
And I was sitting as I do in front of the students.
فجاء وهو يريد الدخول في الإسلام.
And he came and he wanted to enter into Islam.
وله صديق مسلم.
And he had a Muslim girlfriend,
كالعادة.
as is normal, unfortunately.
فقال لدي أسئلة عن الإسلام.
He said, but I have first I have a few questions about Islam.
قلت له تفضل.
I told him, go ahead.
قال أراكم تجعلون المسألة في يد الرجل ولا تجعلونها بيد الرجل والمرأة معا.
He said, one question I have is that I see you give the authority Islam gives the authority to the man, the husband, and you don't put it in you don't give the authority to the husband and the wife shared.
قلت له هل نجعل له المسؤولية فيما له أو فيما لها.
We said, I responded, do we give him the authority over his own wealth, or we give him authority over her wealth?
ألكم مكاتب أو ليست لكم مكاتب؟
Of course, not her wealth. I said, do you have offices, or do you not have offices?
هل هناك مسؤولان في غرفة واحدة أو مسؤول واحد؟
Have you seen two CEOs in one company?
قال لا.
He said no.
قلت له من الدافع في الإسلام للبيت وللأولاد ولكل شيء.
So I said, in Islam, who is the one who has the responsibility to spend on and maintain their household and provide for them everything?
من عليه كل شيء ولو الزوجة بنت هارون الرشيد.
Who is the one who must pay for the necessities of the house, even if his wife is very rich and he barely makes ends meet, barely has enough to pay, then he has to pay all of that in order to fulfill those responsibilities.
من عليه تعليم الأطفال الدين والمرأة.
Who is the one who has the responsibility to make sure he provides for opportunities for education for the wife and the children?
دين.
In deen education, of course.
هذا الزوج.
I said all of this responsibility falls on the husband.
هل هو يعني مدير في ماله ومدير في مالها؟
And anyways, is he responsible for his wealth or her wealth?
قال هذا زين.
So he said, okay, makes sense.
فقال ما لي أراكم تجعلون فاصلا بين النساء والرجال.
He said, well, why do I see you putting a partition between men and women?
قلت له هل لك أم وأخت وكذا وكذا؟
So I said, well, do you have a mother and a sister and so on?
أتريد كل الرجال ينظرون إليها؟
He said, yes. He said, do you want all the men to be staring at them?
هؤلاء الشباب كلهم ينظرون.
Do you want all these young men here to be staring at your mom and your sister? He said, no.
قلت له النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال كذلك الناس.
I said, well, the Prophet ﷺ taught that we should have this respect for the dignity of all women.
فقال لي ما لي أراكم تجعلون الزوجات أربعا.
He said, well, then why do you allow men to marry 4 wives and women marry 1 man?
قلت له أين أنا أسكن الآن؟
I said, what street do I live on?
في جاكسون.
This was Jackson Street in Hayward.
أنا كل يوم أذهب إلى الزيتونة القديمة على أقل الأحوال 5 صلوات.
So then the least amount of times that I would walk from my place to the old Zaytuna every day was 5 times for the 5 prayers.
وليس بيني وبينها دقيقة بالمشي.
And there's barely a 1 minute walk between my house and Zaytuna.
ولا أتذكر أني خرجت إلا وجدت رجلا مع امرأته يفعل بالفاحشة.
And every single time I go, Jackson Street is known for prostitution apparently. That I would see nonsense, and I would see prostitution, and I'd see men and women doing haram, zina outright in their cars. In the so-called monogamous society.
فقلت له تفضلون هذا أو يكون الرجل له 4 زوجات؟
I said, do you prefer for women to be abused like this and rented, or that they be maintained as a wife that a man can take care of up to 4 women?
وهل لديكم خبرة بالطب أو ليس لكم خبرة بالطب؟
So do you know medicine or not?
كم من امرأة يتعاقب عليها الرجال الآن؟
And how many women now they become that one man after the other passes by her?
هل هذا يضر بها أم لا؟
Does this lead to harm for her or not?
هل هناك رجل إذا تزوج 4 يضره هذا أم لا؟
Is there going to be harm for a man psychologically if he has 4 wives?
قال لا.
He said no.
قلت لأنه تعاقب المياه على الرحم الواحد نص الأطباء على أنه ضرر كبير هذا معروف.
There's a great harm by having a plentiful, let's just say, sharing of fluids of different people amongst one woman.
وتعلمون قلت له أن أرقام النساء أكثر من أرقام الرجال.
So do you not know that women outnumber men anyways?
قال نعم.
He said yes.
قلت له هل هذا تقتضيه الحكمة أم لا؟
So I told him, then doesn't wisdom dictate that this should be the case then?
قال نعم.
He said, okay, yeah, I guess.
وفي آخر خطبة قال أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله.
And then he said his shahada, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna
فما قال لا في مسألة واحدة.
He accepted, once it was clear to him, he accepted yes, he said yes to all of the points that he was asking.
ويا بنى عن بنيك على برك إن الله جل وعلا قال تعاونوا فينبغي لمن كان له حق على آخر يعينه عليه كالإخوان والزوج والسيد والجيران. يا أبن أنت هو المسؤول عن بنيك على برك.
He said, "Oh father, you are the one who is in charge." Now what's he going to advise the father? Take advantage, make
لك
sure
من الحق ما ذكرنا.
you get what's yours, make sure you have the rights that were mentioned before. That's done.
لكن الطف بالبنين حتى تفهمهم ما هو معنى البر وما هو معنى المسؤولية.
He said, "Oh father, be lenient with your children. Make it easy for them to fulfill their responsibility with you.
تفهمهم.
Explain to them and show them by example what respect means and good treatment is."
لكن ليس معنى ذلك الإهمال.
It doesn't mean to spoil them. It doesn't mean to let them neglect their duty to you.
أعنهم.
Help them do your duty.
أول الإعانة ما هو.
And how do you help them do their duty?
أن تعلمهم ما قال الله ورسوله بحقك.
The first thing that is to teach them what Allah and His Messenger said in regard to your rights.
بالعكس لو أرسلتهم إلى المدارس وما قلت لهم أي شيء ماذا سيكون؟
So in contrast, if you send them to public school or you send them to school and you never teach them what your right is as a father,
عندما
what's going to be the case?
يأتيان للبيت.
What are they going to learn at school and what are they going to come home with?
ستنشأ ملحمة.
It's going to be a battle.
ستبدأ ملحمة. هذا يقال له ألقاه في اليم مكتوفا وقال له إياك أن تبتل بالماء.
This is like the example of the one who his hands, the ties his child's hands and feet and shackles them together and throws him in the water while telling him, "Don't make sure you don't get wet."
لا تبتل.
How can he not get wet?
إياك أن تشير الأدب على ولدك.
Sending him to school, not teaching him why he does what he does or what the parents' rights are, and then getting surprised when he comes back with bad manners.
كيف تقول لا تشير الأدب على ولدك؟
How can you tell him don't treat your parents badly? You didn't tell him what right treatment
تعرف
is.
الدليل الذي سيقوله.
You know what he's going to tell you, what his proof is.
ما تربينا هكذا في الجزائر أو في الأردن أو في ليبيا أو في باكستان.
What the parent will say is, "This is not our way. We're from Libya. You know, we're Libyans. We don't do this. We're from Afghanistan. We don't do this. We're from Pakistan. We know better than to behave in this way."
هذه دول محتقرة حقيقة.
I'm going to tell you, you're telling me Pakistan is a third world country.
تقول باكستان
cares what they do
أو
over
أمريكا.
You're telling me Afghanistan or Africa.
هذا العالم الثالث. أنت تتكلم عن العالم
You're
الثالث.
talking about the third world.
لكن له إذا تكلمته عن كلام رب العزة.
But if you teach them
والرسول
about
صلى الله عليه
Allah
وسلم.
and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then what Allah and the Prophet say about this matter,
سيختلف المقام.
then you actually have a foundation and a standing. You're not just telling them to implement some
معناها
culture.
أول الإعانة أن تعلم الأبناء.
So the basis is to teach the children.
هذه أول الإعانة. هذه أول المساعدة للأولاد على القيام بأمور الحقوق الوالدين هي التعليم.
This is the first way that you are assisting them in fulfilling your rights by teaching them the right foundation.
قبل أن يكون الإنسان له علم وتقوى لا يمكن أن تفهمه شيء.
Before a person has knowledge and piety, then there's no way they'll understand anything. They have no foundation.
أنا كنت في شرق أمريكا قبل 4 سنين.
I was in the East Coast 4 years ago.
وكان معي هناك شاب من الأفريقيين الأمريكيين يقال له بلال. تعرف محمد.
And there was a young man, a man by the name of Bilal who was with me over there. He's a lawyer.
وكنا في الطريق إلى الدروس.
We were on our way to one of the classes.
قلت أنتم كيف تعاملون أباءكم؟
And I asked him, how do you treat your parents?
قال المشكلة عندنا هنا كنا نتكلم قال المشكلة عندنا هنا أننا عند الإنسان لما يدخل الجامعة أول نقطة له للجامعة أو في المدرسة الثانوية أن يتعلم أن الأهل لا تطلق إلا على الزوجة والأولاد.
He said, well, here, in regard to the women, or when people go to college, the first thing that they learn, the first thing that they know at that age is that the word family means your wife and kids.
قال هذه مكتوبة عندنا أن الأهل لا تطلق على غير الأولاد والزوج.
Like how's your family doing means your kids and your wife. But this word, that's what family means.
فنحن قال لا يكون في عقولنا أن هناك أهل آخرين.
That it's not even in our minds that there is other family.
فنقول إذا قال الواحد كيف أهلك نقول الحمد لله أولادي بالخير وزوجتي. فإذا تجاوزنا ممكن نسأل الوالدين هؤلاء ليس من أهلك.
That this is the family unit. Of course, this is when somebody is left home and now you're in college, now you're on your own. Now then you start a family. And then you have your family. And how's your family? You're going to ask, oh yeah, my wife is good, the kids are fine.
قال لي نحن لا نحسب عندما يتزوج الإنسان لا يحسب الوالدين من الأهل.
After a person is married, then his family unit is his wife and kids.
هذه أول مسألة. هذه عندما سمعتها أدهشتني.
When I heard this shocked me.
قلت طيب.
I said, okay.
الحمد لله فتحت لي الباب.
Alhamdulillah, you opened the door for me.
فأتينا بعد ذلك لدرس وأول ما بدأت فيه نقطة عن بر الوالدين.
And the first thing that I mentioned in that class once we got there was this point about righteousness towards parents.
لا الناس يعني إن الناس يعني هذا اللي وقع لهم من البكاء ما بعضهم خصوصا مرأة كانت هناك أظنها فلسطينية شو زوجها بجنبها تعجب هذا الشيء آخر.
And then there was a woman there who I think she was Palestinian.
ولها زوجها وكذا
Her husband
وأولادها.
was there and her kids were there and she said, SubhanAllah, this is something else.
صارت الناس تقول كيف هذا الحال يعني هذا شيء آخر يعني.
Just people were astounded that this is even a thing. They never heard such things before.
وقلت لكم قصتي مع الزيتون.
And I told you the story with that Zaytuna gathering.
قلت لكم قصتي مع تنس.
And I told you my story in Tennessee.
وقلت لكم قصتي مع كبار الأساتذة هنا في البلد.
And I told you my story with the biggest imams in the Bay Area.
الناس هي مهملة أصلا هي لا تعرف أين يوضع الأول بالأول. لا تعرف أين يوضع الأول. هي عقليات غربية.
The problem is that people have this Western mentality that they do not know how to differentiate things from each other and to put everything where it belongs.
لا تعرف أين الأول بالأول لا تعرف فقط خلاص هي مسكينة.
People do not know how to prioritize matters.
الكثير منها ليس مشكلة العناد هو الجهل.
The problem is, even it's for most people, for many people, it's not even that their stubbornness is just that they don't know.
ويعتقد أن هذا ظلم ولا هو خلاص هو يعتقد أنه لو كل يوم بهذا يعتقد أنه ظلم.
Due to this ignorance, people think that they're being oppressed, or this is oppression, or there's chaos.
عندما تقول له عمر يقول هذا ظلم صحيح لكن عندما تقول له قال الله ورسوله والحكمة بذلك قال هذا شيء آخر.
So once you tell people at the beginning, they will tell you, oh no, that's not right, and I don't agree with that, and so on. You tell them, look, this is what Allah said, this is what the Prophet ﷺ said, and here's the wisdom behind it. Then they understand. Once you explain to them the wisdom, then the people who don't have stubbornness, they'll understand, they'll accept it once it's logically explained to them.
إذن إعانة الآباء وإعانة الزوجات وإعانة الطلاب هي أن تعلمهم.
So then helping your children, helping your wives, helping your students to fulfill your right is to teach them first of all.
علمهم لا تكلفهم ما لا يطيقون الجاهل كيف يفهم
Teach them your rights, because the ignorant person, how will he understand your rights?
ويا بن أعن بنيك على برك إن الله عز وجل قال تعاونوا على البر والتقوى تعاونوا أول التعليم تعاونوا على البر والتقوى إن الله تعالى قال وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى
He said,
وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى
help them, because Allah says help one another towards righteousness and taqwa. So this is birr. You want birr, you have to
تعاونوا على البر والتقوى التقوى كيف تكون تقي تعاونوا على التقوى بماذا البر نوع من التقوى العطف العام على الخاص
the taqwa is birr is a type of taqwa, and it's so special. It's mentioned first. Help one another towards birr and taqwa. Well, then help your children towards birr so they can have taqwa.
باب العلم قبل العمل قال
The
الإمام
chapter of
البخاري
knowledge comes before action.
الإمام البخاري قال باب العلم قبل العمل
Imam Bukhari said the chapter of knowledge before action.
عين أولادك بالتعلم ابتداء تعليم تعلم أنت علمهم كن قدوة لهم.
Help your children first. Be an example for them. Set a good role model for them so that they can understand.
نعم وفي فرق بين الحلم وبين الإهمال.
There's a difference between lenient treatment and kindness towards them. Easygoingness is excellent.
أحيانا يكون اللطف شدة.
Between that and letting them do what they're gonna do, just neglecting to teach them and letting them neglect their duty.
أحيانا يكون اللطف شدة.
Very often, or often you will see that the way to be kind to them is to be strict in some matters.
أنا قلت لكم مثال عن أمي.
And I gave you the example of my mother.
أتريدون أن تهيني أمام الخلق؟ تعتقدون أن تهيني أمام
You think she was ridiculing me in front of everyone and throwing me and tossing me?
هذا غير صحيح.
No, absolutely not.
لكن كل مقال عنده مقال به ثبوته والانتقال.
But in every situation, it requires a special response.
خطابك الذكية به ثبوته والانتقال. أثبته أو اتركه.
That either
خطابك الذكية والغبية لا يتحدان ما الثبيت لم يلا.
So addressing a intellectual person, a smart person, and addressing a fool, your address has to be different.
تحتاج تخاطب ذلك الخطاب. تعرف كيف أتعامل معه.
You need to know how to deal with people and address them accordingly.
فإذا كنا سنخاطب شاب آخر جاهل وواحد ما تعلق اتق الله افهم أن حقوق الوالدين مختلف ماذا قال الله ورسوله وهكذا بسهولة حتى نفهم.
So if you're speaking to a young man, you tell them, in a nice way and understand and lead them to that.
ماذا الذي أنت تريد فتح باب من النار.
You don't want to open a door of hellfire for yourself. Listen to what is the right way. Listen to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said and why.
علم أنك تريد تفتح أبواب من جهنم أين تذهب أنت ماذا تريد.
There's a huge risk if you continue where you're doing. Actually, there's a warning of hellfire for this type of behavior.
يا شاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من أمسى وله والدان وأصبح وله والدان ماذا قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
What did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, O young man? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that whoever finds themselves with one parent or two parents.
أصبح له والدان فبرهما فتح له بابا.
And he treats them with
من عصى الله تعالى فيهما.
And then they are two open gateways to heaven for him, and whoever disobeys them and displeases them,
ومن عصى الله تعالى فتح له بابان من النار.
Disobeys Allah by displeasing them, then two gates of hellfire are open through them. And if one parent, then one door.
قال الصحابي لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن ظلم.
The companion asked, what if the parents are unfair? What if they're unjust?
قال رسول الله وإن ظلماه وإن ظلماه وإن ظلماه.
The Prophet ﷺ said, even if they oppress him, even if they oppress him, even if they oppress him. No choice.
ما هو الحل؟
So there's no way out.
يعني الشاب يعرف أنه هو هذا خطير، أنه هو دخل المشكلة.
But a person has to know that, look, it's not a matter of fair or not fair or what you think.
هذه ليست الغباوة الأمريكية، هذا كلام رب العزة يوحي به إلى رسوله.
It's not the American nonsense of talking back and oh, if they didn't explain to, I have to focus on what they're doing wrong and tell them and so on and well, but and what about you? No, it's not a matter of discussion. Even if they're wrong, even if they're oppressive.
هذا كلام الرحمة المهداة للكون كله.
These are the words of the mercy to humankind.
لولا يكون ما كان رحمة كيف يكون رحمة؟
If the Prophet ﷺ did not teach us these etiquettes, then this would not have been a mercy to us.
سيكون عذاب على الأمة.
Then there would be chaos, it would be a torment for us.
ولو ظلماك ماذا فعل قبل ذلك؟
Even if your parents have oppressed you, then what did they do before that?
من حملك ومن رباك؟
Who is the one who raised you? Who's the one who taught you? Who's the one who carried you and their womb? Who's the one who gave birth to you?
هذا شيء آخر.
That's something else.
أنت هم ظلماء ولكن ظلمك أسوأ.
Yes, they oppressed you, but your oppression is worse.
لابد أن تفهم أين أنت.
You have to understand. You have to know your place.
قال الإمام البخاري باب ظلم دون ظلم، حديث صحيح البخاري.
Imam Bukhari says the chapter of oppression beneath another oppression.
هذا ظلم ولكن فوق ظلمك أنت.
It is oppression that if they mistreat you, but your oppression is worse.
من تخاطب؟
Who are you talking to?
هذا شيء آخر.
They have a different level, a different status.
عندما يتربى الإنسان هكذا ويعلم ويثني يكون يعرف أن الأمر خطير جدا ويتعامل معه بالحكمة وبالعلم ويكون مساعد، يكون الابن طيب.
So once a person realizes this, then they have
يتربى على هذا ويعلم من أين ما
and they're raised upon this and it's explained to them and they're nurtured in this way, and then they know where everything belongs and they have a proper respect.
إذا أخطأ الولد سامحه، إذا فعل أشياء ليست من متعمدة، إذا فعل أشياء سامحه، لكن في فرق.
If they do things by accident, then forgive them entirely.
وكان جاهل علمه.
Or if they were ignorant, teach them. If they mess up, help them improve.
فرق بين المسامحة والإهمال.
There's a difference between just neglecting them and raising them right.
ذاك إعانة لهم على المعصية، ذاك إيمان، ذاك طلب إعانة على
Just letting them do whatever and just giving them whatever they want. This is spoiling them and this is ruining them, or letting them do it without paying attention to what they're doing. This is neglecting your duty and letting them neglect theirs.
كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته.
All of you are shepherds and each of you is responsible for your flock.
كالزوج والإخوة كالإخوان والزوج، كذلك الأخوة والأصدقاء تحتاج الطلاب تحتاج أن تسامحهم، تحتاج أن تكون يعني تفهم يعني حالهم وتعرف.
Same with students. Same with the
أصدقائك وإخوانك وتكون تعرف كيف تعاملهم يعني.
You have to know how to deal with people in a good manner.
والزوج الزوج يحتاج أن يكون لطيفا معلما حكيما قويا مع زوجته.
The husband must know how to be lenient, measured in his reactions, in control of his temper, wise in his behavior, and firm and consistent, absolutely consistent with his wife.
لابد أن يعرف ما هو حال زوجته.
He has to know how to deal with his wife.
فإن كانت قوية يعاملها بالقوة.
If she is strong-willed, then to treat her with strength.
عاقلة يعاملها بالعقل.
If she is wise and intelligent, then treat her with logic.
فإن كانت جاهلة علمها.
And if she's ignorant, then he teaches her.
فإن كانت ضعيفة عقلا نمى عقلها.
And if she is weak-minded, then to nurture her mind.
تعطيها الأمثلة.
Give her examples, allow her to open her mind.
التعليم هو أول شيء.
So teaching comes first.
لكن قد يصعب عليكم هل الزوج أعظم حق؟ هذه مشكلة أخرى.
But this is even a matter of contention with you, that does the husband have a higher right anyways?
هذه ليست عقليتك.
This is not your norm. These are not your norms.
لا تعتقدون أن الزوج حق وأعظم حق. لا.
You do not think that the husband has the highest right of a human being over the other.
هذه لا تعتقدون.
This is definitely not something you believe.
هذا خطأ.
But you're wrong.
عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها سألت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
سألته عن من هو أعظم الناس حقا.
She asked him, who has the highest right over anyone else?
فقال لها أما الرجل فأمه وأما المرأة فزوجها.
The Prophet ﷺ responded, as for the man, the one who has the highest right over him is his mother. And as for the woman, the one who has the highest right over her is her husband.
لذلك نص المؤلف أن الزوج ينبغي له أن يفهم حال هذه العقدة المشكلة الكبيرة، لأن الزوجة صعب عليها فهم هذا.
And the author, he explained this matter to show that the husband needs to understand that often it is difficult for the wife to grasp this point.
هذه إن كانت غير عائشة فستجب.
So Aisha radiallahu anha easily understood
هاي لا عندها
that
مشكلة.
women other than Aisha, they can go crazy over this point.
هذه ستجن وتبسم النجوم.
She's going to bounce up and down. until she
خصوصا إن
reaches the
كانت
stars.
أمريكية هاي ستكسر الباب وخلاص.
Especially if she's American.
هذه تخرج من الأباب وتكسره وتكون
Kick down
ملحانة.
the door and start a battle.
لماذا هذا قاله رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم؟
Astaghfirullah. She'll object
تعرف ما
to the
ستقول
Prophet sallallahu
هذا؟
alaihi wasallam.
ستقول لماذا قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم؟ ستقول لماذا؟
قيل لي هذا الكلام.
لماذا قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم؟ نعم خلاص.
Somebody literally told me that a week ago. Oh, I don't agree. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I don't. This part I don't like. Well, I'm not saying the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ولكن فهمت في الأخير الحمد لله.
لكن هذا خطير.
But what she said was very dangerous. Objecting unless she knows that this is the.
تسمع رسول الله قال وتقول أنا عندي خيار.
She hears what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said and she thinks she has a choice.
لا إله إلا الله. Oh my God. It's different story.
Yeah, this was counseling. It's not my wife. Alhamdulillah, it's somebody else's wife a week ago.
Oh my God. It's different story. مسلم قال له شخص قال رسول الله وقال الله. It's different story.
A Muslim, when they hear Allah says, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that's it for them.
هذه هي مشكلتكم اللي قلت لكم العقلية الأمريكية تجعلكم حرب مع الله.
This is the problem. I've told you that the Miss American mentality places you at a point where you are at war with Allah and His Messenger.
أنا تربيت مع أمي ومع أخواتي ومع عماتي ومع بنات عمي أشراف وغيرهم وشيوخ ما سمعت أحدا قال شيئا ولا سمعت أحدا في تاريخ الإسلام قالها. لأنهم يعلمون ما يقال.
I was raised with around my women, my mother, my aunts, my sisters, my
وكلهن متزوجات وكلهن
They're
أولاد.
descendants of the Prophet ﷺ, and they're married, and none of them have any objection to what the Prophet ﷺ said. No Muslim should have this objection.
العقلية أنكم أنتم ما فهمتم أي شيء عن الإسلام.
The mentality is, unfortunately, that people have not grasped anything or understood anything about Islam.
رب العزة والجلال يقول أم يخافون أن يحيف الله عليهم ورسوله.
Allah asks a rhetorical question. Allah says, do they fear that Allah
يظلمون
and His Messenger will oppress them?
أم يخافون أن يحيف الله عليهم ورسوله.
Do you think that Allah and His Messenger will transgress against them?
بل أولئك هم الظالمون.
Rather, they are the oppressors.
إنما كان قول المؤمنين إذا دعوا إلى الله ورسوله ليحكم بينهم أن يقولوا سمعنا وأطعنا.
Indeed, the statement of the believers once they are called to Allah and His Messenger to judge between them is to say, we hear and we obey.
أن يقولوا سمعنا وأطعنا وأولئك هم المفلحون.
And those are the ones who, when they say we hear and we obey, those are the ones who are successful.
ومن يطع الله ورسوله ويخشى الله ويتقه فأولئك هم الفائزون.
And whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger and fears Allah and is mindful of Him, then those are the ones who are successful.
أيحسن عليكم ما لا يحسن بعائشة رضي الله عنها.
Is there something that would be good for you that was not good for Aisha radiallahu anha?
أيحسن عليكم ما لا يحسن بوالديها.
Is there something good for you that wasn't good for her parents?
أيخاطبها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بما لا يصلح للمسلمين.
Would the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tell her that which is not suitable for the believers?
سكتت.
She did not say anything.
ما قالت ولا حرفا.
She didn't say a word.
لأنها تعرف أنها لو قالت أي معارضة ذهبت خلاص ما صارت أم المؤمنين صارت أم الشياطين.
Not a
لو قالت
letter,
أي كلمة واحدة.
not a sound. She knew if she contradicted or objected in the slightest, then she would go from being the mother of the believers to the mother of the devils
ستكون أم الكافرين.
and the disbelievers.
خلاص انتهى الأمر. تنحيت عن الساحة.
That's it. That's the end of
كنت أم
any
أبيك
success.
أم أبي بكر
That you
وأم
have,
عمر.
that she had the status a second ago of being like a mother to her own father and to Abu
يقال
Bakr.
لها أم أبي بكر وأم عمر وأم كل مسلم إلى
Not
يوم
just the
الدين.
mother of Abu Bakr and Umar, but every Muslim until the day of judgment.
سيقال لها لا أنت أم المعارضين لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تفضل أنت ما رأيت مقامهم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنت من أنت يا أختي يا
If she objected to the Prophet ﷺ, then who is she now? She would be
من
no
أنت
one.
ومن أبوك ومن أهلك.
Who are you and who is your father and who is your family?
انتهى الأمر.
That's
فيما
it.
كانت لكم أخذتموها من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم والآن تنحيتم عن
You
الساحة.
had your dignity and your status because of your relationship to the Prophet ﷺ,
لا أنت ولا أبوك ولا عمر ولا الصحابة ولا.
and you lose it all by contradicting him. Not you nor the
لا 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 لا.
You crossed the line.
لأنكم لا بد أن تفهموا لا بد أن تفهموا أن أقوال الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم للمسلمين ما فيها أي حل نزاع. العلماء أوضحوها وبينوها ولو كان فيها شيء يحتاج التاويل ويحتاج
They did not need to explain these things beyond the command. Once the command is given, then the command was known, and there's no explanation.
ما بقي شيء.
They plug in the USB to the left.
أنا ما أحتاجه. هذا الذي أداكم إلى كل شيء. الآن كم الطلاق الآن.
Tell me, how often do people get divorced nowadays?
لأنه لا مسؤول ولا أميرة ولا مأمورة.
Because there's chaos in the household. It's just a battle. It's a struggle. Nobody knows where they belong.
أنتم
what's
كلكم
going on.
هكذا شو أسنان سلام.
Everything is like teeth of a comb. Everything sees itself as equal.
هذه الزوجة هذا الزوج هؤلاء الأولاد هذا
One tooth is the husband and the wife and the children. Everybody is equal.
الجماعة هكذا.
Everybody's fighting to be heard and to have their way and so on. And there's no authority and there's no obedience and there's no listening and there's no roles and responsibilities.
شهرين ثلاثة الصبر على الشهوة بعد ذلك نصر.
Just a month, 2 months, just patience and enduring the bitterness of that family, of that relationship, just for the sake of their desires. But then after they get tired of their desires, then there's no reason for them to stay in that relationship.
سأذهب سيكون عندي صديقة أخرى وزوجة أخرى ما أريد.
That why do I need you? I can go get another wife or a girlfriend. Why do I stay in this relationship?
أنت لست مؤدبة وأنا بليد وأنت
That the person would tell his wife, you don't have manners, and I'm a fool myself. Forget about this relationship. Why would we stay?
أنا مسكته أنا ناموسه.
Right? Forget about him being a husband. He's like a mosquito.
يا أختي لا تحترمي المسكين.
Oh, my sisters, do not.
يا أخواتي ويا طالباتي احذروا من احترام المسكين.
My brothers and my sisters, beware of respecting mosquitoes.
رجل لا يصلح المسؤولية هذا مسكيته وخلاص.
A man who is unable to fulfill the responsibility of a man, this is not a man.
وخلاص يعني لماذا تحترمه النساء؟ مسكيته لا يحترم.
How can women then respect him?
كيف تحترم الناموس والذباب؟
ولكن لا تزوجته، هل تحترمه؟ هل عليها تحترمه رغم أنه مسكين؟
أنا لا أنصح هذا المسكين. لكن إذا تزوجت حمار فعليها أن تعلم الحمار صار.
So I don't advise her to marry a mosquito or a donkey, but if she chooses to marry him, well, you chose that as your husband. You have to treat him like a man. You have to. You have to give him your right over your father and over your mother, who's over your father. That is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. But it's your choice. You can say yes or no to him before you get married. Once you say yes to him and you get married, that's it. Now he's your boss. قالت لي الامرأة لا أظن هو my boss. نحن equal.
No. We not equal.
That lady told me, he's not my boss. We're equal partners.
No.
We're partners.
No. No. هاي equal هي اللي جعلتكم مشاكل.
This equal is what.
هذا الاستواء هو اللي أداكم للمصائب.
This attempt at forcing some type of nonsense equality is what led you to all of these.
اسمعوا الأجوبة التي جاوبت بها الرجل الماضي.
Listen to the responses that I gave that man before, that I was in the story I told you.
كل يعلم مكانه.
Everyone should know their place.
يا رجل خذ مسؤوليتك.
Oh man, take your responsibilities seriously. Fulfill them. Treat your family with excellent treatment.
علمهم يفتحوا أعينهم في الدين.
Be a role model for them. Open their eyes to the deen. Explain to them.
قل لهم ما قال الله ورسوله.
Tell them what Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
قل لهم ماذا الذي يصلح دينهم.
Tell them what will correct their deen.
ماذا هو حقك ماذا هو حقك
What is
ماذا
your
علي
right?
ماذا عليكم.
What is your place? What is your responsibility? What are your obligations? What are your rights?
هذا هو الأمر بيننا.
This is the relationship between us is based on the deen.
إنما كان قول المؤمنين إذا دعوا إلى الله ورسوله أن يحكم بينهم أن يقولوا سمعنا.
Explain to them what Allah and the Messenger said, and as Allah says, indeed, the statement of the believers once they are told, once they are called to Allah and His Messenger to judge between them, that they say we hear and we obey.
فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر.
And if you dispute in a matter, return it to Allah and His Messenger if you believe in Allah and the last day.
لكن قد تقولكم لا تريدون الإيمان أصلا.
But you might say that we don't even want a leader in the first place.
نحن نريد القانون الأمريكي.
We want to have the American style. American
أنتم تقولونه بلسان الحال وبلسان المقال كثير.
Well, those of you who aren't saying it by your tongues, your actions speak louder than your words.
كثير منكم قالوا بلسان القول ليس بلسان الحال.
But many of you have said it outright.
كثير منكم اتهم القرآن واتهم الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Many of you have accused the Quran and accused the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This day and age is not. It's not for. The Quran is not for us. You know that the Quran was revealed in the desert. Look at the hadith. Look at just look at the hadith. Go read that hadith. See how they lived back then. Alhamdulillah, now we're in America and we're in the future and things are civilized, so we can't be living by those ways.
لا يمكن أن نعيش حياة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحابه. هذا
We
خطير
can't
جدا.
live according to the
هذا
way of the
خطير
Prophet and his
جدا.
companions. That's very dangerous. That's
لا
terrible.
تكلمنا عن هذه الحياة. هذه حياة خلاص.
Why are you telling us about that life? That's over. That's done. That was done.
هذا لا يصلح لنا أعوذ بالله.
This is not the right way for us. We have to see what's right for us.
هذا هو صحيح.
No, I'm joking. But this is what's going
قوم
on.
لا يصلح لها حياة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحابه ولا لنا خلاص.
Well, if the people are admitting that the life of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions is not their life, then okay, that's
هذا كيف
enough.
تتعاملهم؟ أنا كيف أتعامل معكم؟
Then if that's what you want, okay, I can't deal with you personally.
أنا
but
أنا
that's fine.
أنا كيف نخاطبكم؟ أنا لا أعرف الخطاب لكم.
How can I address you then if
إذا أعطيناكم مثال الصحابة تقول هذا،
If you
إذا أعطيناكم الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم تقول هذا. أنا ما أفهم. القرآن لابد أن نؤوله، لأن أنا لا أفهم.
I don't know how to deal with you then. If you're not accepting the statements of the scholars, forget about that. You're not accepting what the companions did, okay, you're not accepting what the Prophet ﷺ said, you're not accepting what the Quran says. He says, oh, we have to understand it differently than they understood it. What can I tell you then?
هو الخطاب انتهائي للمسلمين هذا فقط. هو كلام والإما هو كلام الله وكلام رسوله وكلام العلماء فقط. خلاص
For the Muslims, that's actually what we seek. What is the Quran saying? That's called bottom-up reasoning. Start with nothing and build from what Allah and His Messenger ﷺ said. Don't start with your conclusion.
يا ربي أصلح هذه الأمة يا رب.
Oh, Allah correct the state of the
أصلح أمة محمد. لكن كل هذا يرجع على الرجال.
But of course, the ones to blame are the men. Truly.
كل هذا. واحد يصبح صباحا ويقول لزوجتي 50-50 قل له اذهب أنت ناموسي.
نعم.
واحد عندما يكون الصباح قل له أنت ناموسة مسكيتو.
If a man gets up and tells his wife, you know what, we're 50-50, then tell him to go sit down and you're a mosquito.
رجل قال لزوجته أنا أريد منك أن أكلفك بعصير قل له اذهب أنت مسكين.
If a man says, oh, my wife, you know, we both have money, it's your turn to pay for the juice even. Tell him to sit down, you're a mosquito. Everyone should know their responsibility.
إذا كنت عاجز وفقير ومريض فإذا تطوعت عليك باحترام وبقيت مكانك فاقبل وإلا لا تريد.
If a man is in a state where he is
unable
or Allah has afflicted him with poverty and his wife has love, and he tried but he's unable or he's sick or disabled or whatever it may be, and then now his wife is able to fulfill the needs and brings what the family needs with the respect, then he can accept without it reducing his status with the family at all.
حتى لا ممكن هذا تبرع منه وجزاه الله خيرا. هذا تبرع منه وجزاه، لكن لا يحيل الزوجة عن مكانه ولا يحيل الزوج عن مكانه. That
this is an excellent deed from her, but it does not reduce the status of the husband, nor does it change the wife's place.
أنا عندي شيوخ اختاروا رجال فقراء صالحين خلاص.
I have teachers who اختاروا بناتهم.
نعم.
That they chose for their daughters to marry righteous people who are
فقراء.
poor. Who are poor.
وأنا أعرفهم يحترمون أزواجهم أكثر من الآخرين. أعرف هؤلاء البنات يحترمون أزواجهم أكثر من الآخرين.
And I know that those daughters of my teachers, they respect their poor husbands more than other women respect their husbands.
أشياء أخرى هذا واحد الصالحات ولكن أنا الصالحات.
But these are righteous women. It takes it's really an extra sacrifice on the woman's behalf. Once she is fulfilling those needs, that puts attention on the relationship absolutely. That for her to remain to be good to her husband after that takes extra righteousness from her. So now you're saying that those norms, oh, it's permissible in Islam for him to take or whatever. Okay, but where are the righteous women who are actually doing this and still respecting their husbands?
المهم اعلموا أن الناس لا تصلح ما فيها مسؤول عنه.
Importantly, you must understand that people need leadership and role models, and things do not work with chaos, with no leadership and no one in charge.
لكن ليس معناها أن يكون الزوج جاف والصراخ والمشاكل.
But it's not what you think when you hear in charge. You think that any responsibility should be abused, that the husband should be tough and rough, and the whole point of him being the authority is for him to be the one who has everybody just abusing people for his own interest and making decisions for his interest and yelling at everybody when they're not cooking his dinner right and yelling at everybody.
رجل يسأل عن الطعام.
A man even asking, where's the food, and why didn't you make food, and what's the deal with the food? This is not a part of it. This is not manhood. There's no change between. There's no relation between this and the Prophet ﷺ Sunnah.
إنسان يسأل زوجته عن المروءة وعن الدين وعن إكرام الجيران وعن إكرام الضيوف إن كانت تقدر على ذلك والاحترام والاهتمام بوالديه.
A man asks his wife, did you take care of the neighbors? How are your prayers? Did the children pray? Did everybody learn? How are you with your parents, etc.? Be good to the guests if they come, etc. If you are able, because that's not required of the wife.
هذا هو معنى المسؤولية ومعنى الإنسان يريد أن يربي أبناءه على الخير على الإنسان.
So it's leading them to goodness. It's not about me and me. I'm the authority, meaning everything revolves around me, meaning that I will guide you to goodness and to all types of goodness. But I'm in charge. This is the part of humanity.
كان يأتي وعندما يأتي لزوجته يقول هل هناك طعام؟
The Prophet ﷺ, when he would ask about food, when he would come home, when he would ask about food, he would just say, is there food? Sometimes they would say yes, sometimes no. And many times there was no food even to cook. The houses of the Prophet ﷺ were empty of food. And then what would he respond when they would say no? He would say, okay, then I'll fast.
يقول لماذا ما كانت الأطعمة هنا وأنواع البهارات
Not why, and I told you in last week and we brought this and so on and it should be ready by now. And stuff like that.
لأن ما تكون الهمة للطعام والجماع هذه ليست همة المسلم.
So now when a Muslim is just concerned with food and with intercourse, this is not the concern of the Muslim. This is just problems.
يرجع إلى أن الزوجة تشتغل والأولاد يشتغل والناس كل شيء يعمل والمصائب كلها وكله يرجع لبطل.
When people just want to fill their stomachs and get more and this and that and have a nicer house and more at this and a better car, and then the wife will be working and the husband will be working and the children will be abandoned in public schools and so on.
وعندما يرجعون يبدأون في الفتن.
And then once everybody comes back home exhausted, then there's chaos because there's no hierarchy.
هذا صحيح.
No, is this true? This is the normal.
لذلك أنكم تعيشون في جهنم في بيوتكم الكبيرة.
Subhanallah, you have such big houses that are places of torment and
تعيشون في بيوتكم
anxiety and
الكبيرة في جهنم.
It's like you're living in hellfire when it looks like you're living in a nice
كل
big
واحد
house.
عنده غرفة وهو عايش في جهنم.
Everybody has their nice big room, while the reality of it is they're living in torment.
صحيح.
Is this true or not? نعم صحيح.
الأب في جهنم والأم في جهنم والأولاد في جهنم والكل غضبان على الآخر.
The husband is in torment, the wife is in torment, the children are upset all the time, and everyone's angry with each other.
ما هو حالك؟ لا أعرف.
What's wrong?
لا أعرف. أين أبوك؟ أين أمك؟
Where's your father? I don't know.
أين الأولاد؟ لا.
Where are your kids? Oh, I have no idea.
سأراهم غدا هنا بالأسرة.
I'll see them tomorrow, in bed.
كلهم يدخل ويخرج زريبة وغنم. زريبة وغنم. قال حديقة الغنم.
This is like a goat pen. If they come in and they go, they jump over the fence and they come back when they feel like eating and drinking.
يخرجون ويدخلون.
They come and go as they please.
تجمعهم الحديقة ويخرجون.
The thing that gathers them is that food and drink and that pen, and that's it.
على أنهم محترمون إلا فأكلوا في المطاعم ورجعوا للنوم فقط.
But if that was they're considered a respectful family, they'll be there for dinner time, so on. Otherwise, they're going to eat in the restaurant and say, I'm not hungry.
هذا صحيح؟
نعم.
هذا هو الإسلام في أمريكا. هذه العائلات المسلمة.
ربما الناس يقولون لا نحن مؤدبون والأولاد دائما لا يأكلون إلا بالإذن ولا يأكلون إلا أنهم بعد أن يكملوا الشغل المدرسة.
يقولون ذلك.
نعم سيقولون أن حالنا أفضل من هذا.
لا ليس كلها.
So I said that no, a lot of people are listening. They're saying no. In my family, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of order in our family. Nobody goes and comes without permission, and nobody can breathe or do any entertainment until they can't watch their Netflix until they finish their homework.
هذا موجود؟ نادر.
Now, is this there that a family has perfect order and chaos and a hierarchy in this manner with those priorities? This is like an ideal family. It's there, but even though it's rare, yes.
ولكن هذا جيد.
But is this ideal? Is this a good thing?
هذا جيد هذا.
Is this a good thing?
هذا أسوأ.
This is worse.
ما هي المدرسة التي تدرسها أبنائك؟
What is the school that you're teaching your children? What is important? What are the priorities?
ماذا يدرسون الناس؟
What do they learn over there?
أخبروا عن ماذا يدرسون.
Tell me about what they learn.
يدرسون يعني فقط كلمات ورياضيات وفساد أمريكا فلما يكون هاي سكول سيذهبون وخلاص.
Right, they'll do well in elementary school, middle school, high school. They'll do okay, but what's going to be the state of their Islam?
أين الإسلام؟
Where is their Islam? Where is their practice?
هذه خواص بيض أمريكا. هذه خواص بيض أمريكا.
Just mashallah, you're just proud that you're mimicking, copying a middle class, or upper middle class American white American family that you saw on TV. No.
أنا أعرفكم جيدا.
I know you very well.
أنا أعرفكم جيدا. باكستاني وعربي فعل ذلك هذا معناه أنه يريد أن يكون خواص البيض.
We know that Pakistani or Arab did this. They're trying to just fit into the status quo and copy the lifestyle of the white American family they see on TV.
هذا صحيح.
Is this true or not?
True. Okay. معناه أن الكل يرجع ما كنا ما في مجال. أنا ما يمكن أن تخدعوني. ما يمكن واحد يقول لي إحنا عائلة ولا لا.
So you can't deceive me. Don't tell me, oh no, but our family and. But
No. أنا أعرفكم عربا وعجما وبيضا وسودا.
I know you Arabs and non-Arabs, black and white.
أعرفكم كلا.
I know all of you.
وأعرف عناصركم كلها.
And I know the differences amongst you and the different classes and all of you.
هل تعلمون أعرفكم؟
نعم جدا. You know that I know you, yes, of course, absolutely.
معناها يخبرني من أنا أعلم أنه هذا ليس بالجيد.
That means don't tell me, oh, but we're this. Don't worry, I know.
تخبرني وأنا أعلم منك هذا ليس بالصحيح.
Don't tell me what I already know.
لا يمكن. لا تلعبوا بعقولكم.
Don't let your minds deceive you.
لا يمكن أن تخبرني بشيء غير صحيح. نعم هذه المهمة للأمور المسؤول ينبغي له أن يكون رحمة على الآخرين بالتعليم والتدريب والأخلاق والشدة في وقتها والليونة في وقتها وبحسب المقامات. هذا هو.
So this is the meaning of a responsibility, to put your ego to the side. It's not about you. It's about you leading your family to
أن يغضب لله ويرضى لله.
That you speak for the sake of Allah. You get angry for the sake of Allah. You are happy for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You show them a role model starting with yourself when you command them to do any goodness. You lead them towards what's right. You see what's right for them. You respond sometimes with kindness and leniency when it's its place, sometimes with strictness when it's time to be strict, and knowing them and nurturing them, caring, watching, overseeing to make sure that they succeed in this world and the next.
أنا قد قلت في مجالس وبعض الحاضرين حضرها كم من مرة.
that I've said in many gatherings, and many of you have attended many of those gatherings.
لهم يا دكاترة ويا محامون ويا مهندسون ما هي أول الأسئلة عندما تدخلون
I
البيت؟
always ask this question. Doctors here, engineers, etc. What is the first question that you ask about when you go home?
عندما تدخلون البيت ما هو أول سؤال؟
When you enter the house, what is the first question that you ask?
لزوجاتكم.
To your wives.
الكثير يعلم أني سيكون الجواب صعب.
And many of you, you know you're scared to answer the question because you know that what I'm going to say next.
يسكتون.
So most people usually are quiet when we have this discussion.
فقلت لهم هل السؤال الأول صليتم وتطهرتم وقرأتم ما عليكم؟
I tell them, so is the first question, have you prayed, have you fasted, have you purified yourself? Have you prayed yet? No, of course not.
لأن ما من أحد يمكن يقول لزوجتي صليتي وتطهرتي.
Who has the right to ask his wife, have you prayed when he himself hasn't prayed?
قلت لهم أنا أعرف أول السؤال.
So I said, I actually do, I'll answer the question for you then. I know what's the first question you ask when you get home.
مهتمين جيدا.
If you are really attentive and considered great parents,
عائلة محترمة.
a respectable family, what are you going to ask?
ستقول لزوج الأولاد يعني مسؤوليتهم البيتية انتهت هم مسكون.
That you're going to ask your wife, did the kids do their homework yet?
هذا يعني أنت على علم من هذا بشو؟
You saw they submitted their homework is done?
نعم.
Yes, their homework is done.
ما الوجبة التي فعلتيها؟
Oh, what's for dinner?
نحن عرب.
We're Arabs. Is the
ما هي الطبخة اللبنانية؟
ABC Arabic food ready?
نحن باكستاني والتصباح.
Or Pakistani? What type of spices, mashallah, are we cooking today?
نحن أفغان. كذلك.
And we're Afghan. You know what's there's the qabuli or the kebabs.
كل يخفض رأسه هكذا.
And everybody's like, oh.
هذا هو الحال.
That's the case.
كل يمس يقن لحيته الأرض.
And this man, mashallah, his beard is touching the ground.
لا يقن هو قد لا يكون عنده لحية ولكن.
Don't forget about his. كيف يعني هذا؟
دقن تغير.
نعم إيش يعني؟
كله يخفض رأسه فقط. يعني عبارة عن استحياء فقط.
كيف يعني؟
لأنه بيت يستحي هذا صعب هذا السؤال.
Oh, so when I ask this question, sorry, when I answer this question for everybody, and everybody thinks, oh, what is the first question that I ask when I go home? Then after I answer the question for everyone, I see everybody with their faces on the ground, embarrassed.
لأن هذا هو الواقع.
Because this is the reality.
هاي ليست المسؤولية أصلاً.
This is not a responsibility. This is not your job. That's not your job as a parent and as a father.
أولاً هو الإنسان لابد يعلم أبنائه، لابد يربيهم تربية إسلامية، لابد يوجههم. بعد ذلك الطعام والشراب شيء ثانوي.
You need to be concerned. Is your responsibility being fulfilled? Is there Islamic progress being undertaken? Have they learned what they need to learn? Are they doing what they need to do? Then think about yourself and your desires and filling your stomach.
فقلت لهم إذا انتهيت من ذلك فسيكون كل يعرف مكانه وما يشاهد في التلفاز.
And then after that, you know, if everybody is done and everybody did their work and you ate your food, then you know exactly where the everybody's place is and what TV they're going to be watching as well.
أنا أعرفكم. أنا أعرف الحال هذا هو الحال. هذا ما دامت المسلمون تمارس هذه الأمور خلاص.
So long as this is the case of the ummah, then that's.
أول يؤدي يرجع لنا تكون كياس.
This is what leads to chaos.
هذا هو اللي يردهم إلى أن يكونوا يعني خراب.
This is what just completely destroys them and corrupts their state of being.
فينبغي لمن كان له حق على آخر أن يعينه عليه كالإخوان والزوج والسيد والجيران. كذلك الجيران ينبغي لهم أن يتعاونوا.
And the neighbors also, they have to help one another towards
ما
it.
زال جبريل يوصيني بالجار حتى ظننت أنه سيولد.
The Prophet ﷺ said that Jibreel kept on and on and on, going on and on about the rights of the neighbors until I thought that he was going to say that the neighbors inherit from you.
ورحم الله أبا نعانا على بروره ابنه أتانا.
And may Allah have mercy on a father who helped his child
على بروره.
to treat him with righteousness and respect.
والحمد لله على التمام ومنه أرجو أحسن الختام والله ربي والولي فكيف لا نعم.
That he says,
الحمد لله على التمام ومنه نرجو أحسن الختام.
so he says, and alhamdulillah for the completion of this book, and from this I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the best end, and for it is Allah who is my Lord, and my Prophet is the Prophet.
كيف
How?
لا أنال كل مطلب.
So Allah is my Lord, and the Prophet my Prophet is the Prophet. So how could I not achieve everything that I desire?
والله ربي ورب نبيي النبي فكيف لا أنال كل مطلبي. قال أحد العارفين ومما زادني طربا وتيها وكدت بأخلصي أطأ الثريا دخولي تحت قولك يا عبادي وأن صيرت أحمد. مما زادني طربا وتيها.
One of the righteous, he said that what increased me in joy and in pride, that I almost just fell on the ground out of joy.
نمس الثريا بقدمي.
That actually I just basically I was over the moon.
دخولي تحت قولك يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.
That Allah mentioning me as one of His dear servants. When Allah says, "Oh my dear servants,"
أسرفوا على
who
أنفسهم.
have oppressed themselves, who have done injustice, who have gone beyond the
وتابوا إلى
boundaries,
الله.
in sinning against their own selves, do not lose mercy and do not lose hope in the mercy of Allah.
توبوا في أي وقت.
Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. Indeed, He is the forgiving and the merciful.
إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو غير الشرك يغفر.
Indeed, He forgives anything besides shirk.
قال ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما هذه أرجى آية في القرآن العظيم.
Ibn Abbas said that this is the most hopeful verse of the Quran.
وأن صيرت أحمد لنبي.
And that you have made, he said, and that you have made Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Rasul.
الكاذب. هذه الآية يكون النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رسول.
He said this verse and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam being my prophet, that's enough.
بشرى لنا معشر الإسلام إن لنا من العناية ركنا غير منهدم لما دعا الله داعينا لطاعته بأكرم الرسل كنا أكرم.
But that, by the way, that verse is a threat that comes after it, that indicates of not repenting. That Allah's mercy for those who repent. And then it is mentioned in the Burda that glad tidings to us, the people of Islam, the community of its Muslims. Indeed, there is for us such a blessing, such a status that is unmatchable, this pillar that we can lean on of goodness that will not be destroyed.
لما دعا الله داعينا لطاعته بأكرم الرسل كنا أكرم.
That once Allah called our caller sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the greatest of messengers, we became the greatest of nations.
وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا.
And this is from the Quran.
أنتم يا إخواني جعلكم الله في مكان غير ما جعل فيه الأمم الأخرى.
That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you such a place that He has not given to the other nations.
كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس.
That you will remain to be the best nation ever
أخرجت للناس.
taken for,
خلقت أصلا.
created for the benefit of the people.
وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس للأنبياء بتبليغ الرسالات والناس أنتم في مقام عالي.
And as such we have made you
جعلناكم أمة وسطا معتدلة.
We have made you a balanced nation or نعم
لتكونوا شهداء على
balanced يعني وسطا
وسطا معتدل معناها وسط معناها لا إفراط ولا تفريط معناها في قمة الكمال.
That a balanced nation meaning at the pinnacle of perfection. The wasat could be the middle of something.
لا.
نعم. It means نعم.
وسطا معناها وسط من الناس.
نعم. So it means the middle meaning balanced, but it doesn't mean the middle as in the not half is better and half is worse.
لا.
No, in a mountain, what is the middle? It's the very peak. That's the other meaning of wasat is at the pinnacle over the others, so that you can be witnesses. And the meaning is found in the rest of the verse of the pinnacle, so that you can be witnesses over everyone else. That we can look back and see all the other nations. Allah says, so you can be witnesses over the other nations, over all the people, and the messenger will be that we are witnesses that the other prophets and messengers have delivered their messages to the nations. For what will you witness for them? That you read from the book of Allah that they delivered the message.
The first question is, and I think you mentioned this in the last class, if the parents have passed away, what are the rights of the grandparents? Is it the same as the parents?
If the parents passed away,
No.
the grandparents passed away.
No, grandparents are alive.
نعم هذا هو الصحيح.
يعني سواء ماتوا أم لم يموتوا صح؟
سواء ماتوا ولا لم.
Doesn't matter whether the parents passed away or the grandparents passed away or nobody passed away. The rights of the grandparents, it was mentioned that they have the same rights as the parents, except the parents are prioritized.
Do older siblings have any rights and responsibilities towards younger siblings?
نعم.
That هو نفس
أخو كبير. هذا من باب الأدب ليس في المعجم.
So then the parent, yes, the older siblings, they do have a right over them, and it's recommended even to give them the same respect and treat them in the best manner, just as one would do with their parents. But it's not obviously at the level of the parents. Nor is it required like it is for the parents.
حق كبير الإخوة على صغيرهم كحق الأم كما في الحديث ذكروه هناك.
It was mentioned also that the right of the elder of the siblings over the younger one is like the parent over the child.
If the child is ignorant of their parents' rights because the parents didn't teach them, are they still guilty of the hukuk?
لو هم جاهلون بفرض البر فهل هم عاقلين؟ عليهم الذنب.
نعم الذنب لكن ما.
These are obligatory things. For obligatory things, ignorance is not an excuse. Like a person is ignorant of prayer and purification.
And then for a woman, can she disobey her parents because her husband told her to? Or disagree?
هل للامرأة أن تعصي والديها بسبب طاعة زوجها؟
إن كان الشيء خروج عما يحتاجه من حقوقه فهذا هو أحق. وإن كان شيئا لا يحتاجه لا.
If it is something that her husband needs, that is a right of her husband, that she needs to disobey her parents in order to fulfill, then obeying her husband is the right thing to do. However, if it is something that is a right of her parents that they need, but then her husband doesn't even need her to do what he is asking, then no.
مع أن الزوج لا حق له إلا أن تكون لا تخرج إلا بإذنه وتخدم الخدمة العادل وتطيعه في الفراش لا يمكن أن تقول له لا في أي وقت.
Besides that, the fact of authority, the actual duties of the wife toward the husband are in fact minimal. That she does not leave the house without his permission, that she does not bring in people that he does not like, that she answers his call whenever he is in need of physical relations, and
بأي وقت.
at any time. Of course, as long as there's no harm
ولا تسيء عليه الأدب أصلا.
and there's no prohibition, and she does not treat him with any disrespect whatsoever.
وهو أبدا لا يقول أشياء سيئة.
أريد أن أعيد ذلك 3 مرات شيخ لو سمحت.
أعيده
And
مليار.
that she does not. Do not ask your wives for everything in the world, but do not for the wives that she does not talk to her husband or treat her husband with disrespect ever. That she does not. I said, can I repeat this 3 times for everybody to hear?
والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لعائشة.
For her to not treat him with disrespect ever, for her to never feel ever, no matter what he does, justified of treating him with disrespect, no matter what, to not degrade herself and go against her deen by treating him with disrespect ever.
النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال له عائشة قال الزوج هو بالنسبة للمرأة يعرف حقه وبالنسبة للرجل.
So you see now this speaking about the rights of the parents. Well, the right of the husband is higher than the right of the father and the mother.
واضح هو ما هو.
So then the Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha radiallahu anha, the right of for the man, the woman is first. Which woman? His mother. For the woman, a man is first. Which man? Her husband.
عادي هو الإنسان يمشي مع الشريعة ونحن مسلمون.
So then, so a person goes along
كل
with the
من
Sharia.
العقد النفسية يقال العقد النفسية والكبر والعناد.
So this is called inferiority complexes and arrogance, and that women have, and stubbornness, just wanting to say no or go against or whatever, when really what they're obligated to do toward their husband is those few minimal things. So then it's generally not going to create a conflict between her and her husband's rights and her parents' rights. She, by all means, should have plenty of ability to fulfill her parents' rights while also taking care of her husband. But her husband comes first.
If she listens to her husband because he does need something, and her parents are upset, is she obligated to make them feel better again?
الإنسان إذا اجتمع له كما قلنا مع الوالد والأم لابد أن يعرف الحكمة. التعلم مهم جدا. يحتاج أن يتعامل لأن مشكلتنا الجهل كلها. يعني يحتاج أن يعامل. لابد أن يكون الزوج يساعد زوجته لأن هي مسكينة في حالة ورطة. أحيانا يكون هناك مشاكل لأن الآباء يكونوا جاهلين والزوج جاهل فتكون الزوجة ضحية بين الجميع. أي مصيبة.
So this is where it's, as was mentioned, these things are a case-by-case basis. In every case, people need to practice. This is why you have something called wisdom. There's the knowledge which is the foundation and the framework, and wisdom is knowing how to use that knowledge. And the knowledge that was given before is that there is a ta'awun, there is a cooperation. So that means, again, there should be a cooperation between the husband and the wife. How can we fulfill them? How can we make your parents happy? How can we do this?
يحتاج يساعد ورجل ورجل يحتاج يساعدها.
That he's a man, he has to help her fulfill the rights of her family, in fact.
لكن ما أنا رأيت البيرنت إنها فساد البيرنت.
But it means fulfilling the rights of parents, not the evil that the parents want her to do.
إذا كانوا يريدون الشيء جائز والشيء صالح هذا طيب، وإذا كانوا يريدون منها المعصية قل يا زوجتي لا طاعة للمخلوق المعصية.
So long as they want something permissible and so on, let her go, let her do serve her parents, help her as well. Why not?
إذا كانوا يريدون المعصية قل أصلا ولو أنك غير متزوجة لا يجوز أصلا.
But if they want her to do something sinful, then tell her, even if you are not married to me,
لا طاعة للمخلوق المعصية الخالق.
There's no obedience to the creation when it comes to disobeying the Creator.
أمر عادي. نحن نحتاج أن نتعلم العلم.
It's a very simple matter. We just need to learn knowledge and
تعاونوا على البر.
So this is what Allah is saying in the Quran. Help one another towards birr.
بر معناها ماذا يرضي الله.
It means that which is pleasing to Allah.
أنا أقول يا أختي يا زوجتي أنت أحب الناس لا تذهبي إلى النار هو آبائك ولكن لا تذهبي إلى النار.
That my wife, look, these are your parents, I know, but don't make them a means for you to enter into hellfire.
عادي خلينا نمشي على الواقع خلينا نمشي بالدين يعني.
Let us apply the deen. We have to.
عندنا مثال الصحابة قبلنا وعندنا مثال الأنبياء قبلنا عادي.
We have to have the example of the prophets before us and the companions.
هذا قلنا خلينا نحن في حالة هذه نحن في هذه الحالة نحن في هذه الحالة.
So this is a tough situation. We have to deal with this situation
نحن
together.
في هذه الحالة. نحن الآن في ابتداء الإسلام.
We are in that stage of the beginning stages of Islam.
نحتاج أن ننظر إلى حال الصحابة من قبل.
So we need to look at what the companions did.
من منا الآن يريد أن يلتزم الدين رجال ونساء ينظروا إلى حال الصحابة.
So the people who want to apply the deen today, they need to look at how the companions applied the deen when everybody was against them.
آبائهم
Their parents,
وأخوانهم وعائلاتهم.
their siblings, their families, tribes, everybody.
لكن لابد نتعامل كيف نتعامل مع هذا العرمة من أعداء الدين.
This whole gathering of enemies against Islam and against us applying Islam that are gathering against us, okay, we have to cooperate. We're not going to succeed if we don't work together.
يا زوجتي خلينا نمشي مع الشريعة.
Let's sit down together. Here's the deen. The deen is our guide. How can we apply this? How can we?
يا زوجتي كيف نرجع على ما قال الله ورسوله؟
How can we go back to what? Oh, my wife. How do we go back to what Allah has commanded? How do we apply this?
لكن ما سنجعل آباءنا والعائلات حكم.
But what is our judges? What Allah and His Messenger, not our families and your parents or my parents.
My parents said, your parents said this will be supposed. أنا أهلك قالوا هذا، أنا أهلك قالوا هذا، مشاكل طلاق. هذا هو الواقع. أهلها قالوا كذا.
That her family said this now. That and your family said this, and well, I want what my family said, and you want what your family said. Well, I guess we can't come to an agreement, and with problems. They're gonna try when the deen is not the agreed upon foundation. Then that inherently brings in this conflict. Your family wants this, my family wants this, I want this personally. Then it's just what we want versus what we want. There's no right and wrong. That's called chaos and problems.
المجتمع أيضا نحن ماذا نفعل community أيضا هذا شيء مفيد.
And then the best people will compromise according to their desires, and that's it in every matter. And
community أيضا نحن ماذا نفعل.
Oh, and what does the community want from us also? And we have to worry about everybody else as well.
عاقبة الطلاق والافتراق.
What that leads to, they can compromise once, twice, 500 times, but then it's constant problems and then divorce.
ليصلحكم الدين وترجعوا إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى وتعلمون الخير بما اختاره الله تعالى لأنبيائه ولأوليائه ولصحابة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وهذا هو.
So what will correct your affairs is to return to the deen, place that as your foundation and your guide. What will work for you is what worked for the companions and the followers of the companions, and to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that regard, and everybody fulfills their role and knows their place and fulfills the rights of others, and Allah and hopes for Allah's blessings.
قال الفضيل بن عياض اسلك مع الطريق ولا يغرنك كثرة الهالكين.
الفضيل ibn Iyad, he said, take the correct path. Take the path. Stay to the right path, and don't be distracted and discouraged by the great amount of people who are destroyed on the sides of the path.
كثرة الهالكين خلاص احمد الله تعالى ما جعلك منهم.
When you see those people who are straying away and calling you away and so on, don't be distracted and deceived by that. Actually thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not that you're better, but thank Allah who spared you from afflicting you with those calamities.
تقول يا رب رسولك قال بدأ الإسلام غريبا وسيعود غريبا فطوبى للغرباء عنها من أولئك. So
say, don't, if you're in that state, alhamdulillah. If you're not in that state, say, oh Allah, I want to be in that state where everybody is against me. That the Prophet ﷺ said that Islam began as something strange, it will return to be strange like it began. Oh Allah, make me from those strangers, the people who just want to do what's right, and they stop caring what other people tell them that's wrong.
فطوبى للغرباء.
That Allah says glad tidings and Jannah for those strangers.
قل يا رب اجعلني ممن قال فيهم الله تعالى ولا يخافون في الله لومة لائم.
That say, oh Allah, make me from those people who, Allah, that you say about them, that they do not fear, it's for the sake of Allah, they do not fear anyone who blames them, as long as it's for the sake of Allah.
ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء.
And that is the blessing, a special bounty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives to whom He wills.
لاموني الآباء الحمد لله.
My parents blame me for doing what's right.
لاموني الآخرين أبناء العم الكوميونتي يا ربي لك الحمد ولك الشكر.
Alhamdulillah. My community is blaming me, my family, my relatives.
نقول الحمد لله.
Not just alhamdulillah that, oh, this is terrible, but alhamdulillah anyways.
هذه نعمة من الله.
It is a blessing from Allah.
يخص من أراد بالعناية وبالرسالة وبالولاية.
That Allah it gives.
يخص.
That Allah gives selects especially who He
بالعناية.
with His special assistance and guidance.
خصني الله تعالى من ما جعلني من الأكثر الحمد لله.
هذه
الأيام خصني الله تعالى بأن جعلني غريبا فيا ربي لك الحمد.
That Allah gave me the special distinction to be apart from the majority today. Alhamdulillah.
يا ربي لك الحمد. 99 أنا أخالفهم يا ربي لك
الحمد.
الحمد.
99% of people are against me. Alhamdulillah. Oh Allah, thank you Allah for allowing me to be.
هذا خبر من أحسن ما أسمعه.
Meaning, thank
هذا
you Allah.
خبر يعني أتمناه.
This is what I wish for.
هذا الذي كنت أحلم به.
This is what I dreamed that I would one day be in that state.
أن أكون ممن يخالفهم 99 هذا فضل الله.
That I'm from the state that people that 99% of people are disagreeing with.
هذا من القوم الذين قال فيهم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم له أجر 50 خلاص.
Those are the people who the Prophet ﷺ said they will have the reward of 50 of the companions.
لكن هذا ما يناله واحد بالنوم واللعب والضحك. I nice to meet you. You nice to stay my brother.
But a person will not be in that
minority,
will not achieve that status by being just like everybody else, constant entertainment and TV and eating and sleeping and drinking and problems and symptoms. And the only thing that remains of Sunnah is smiling at people.
لا يناله إلا واحد رفض الناس.
Right? The only person who will achieve this is the one who completely just disregards what people say.
أما الدنيا والناس فارفع عنهما همك واجعله لفاطر السماء.
Mولود said that remove, as for dunya and for the people, just elevate your consciousness and above them.
واجعله لفاطر السماء خالق السماوات والأرض.
And make your focus on only on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
فاطر السماء خالق
the
السماء.
creator of the heavens.
وفي السماء رزقكم وما توعدون.
The one who created the heavens, and Allah says that in the heavens is your sustenance and that which you were promised.
تعتقدون الرزق من الدكاترة والمحامي؟
But you think that the sustenance is from those people who are doctors and engineers?
لا لا في السماء رزقكم. قل يا رب نزل لنا الرزق من السماء.
Oh Allah, give us your sustenance.
ولو أن أهل القرى آمنوا واتقوا لفتحنا عليهم بركات من السماء والأرض.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and if the people of the cities, they were believed and had God consciousness and obedience, then we would have opened for them the blessings of the heavens and the earth. Blessings from the heavens and the earth.
فتحنا عليهم بركات من السماء والأرض. صبت البركات من السماء والأرض.
Poured upon them blessings from the heavens and the earth.
هذا غريب عليكم.
But this is strange for you.
هذا واقع.
ومن
يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب.
Allah says, and whoever has taqwa of Allah,
تعلم العلم وطبقه.
Meaning that he learned knowledge and applied it. You have problems, you have anxiety, you don't know what to do, you're stuck and lost. Allah says, and everyone who has taqwa of Allah, who learns what is right and applies it, who learns Allah's commands and applies them,
لا تفكر عن أحد.
And not thinking about other people. Having taqwa of Allah meaning focusing on Allah and doing what's right by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will place for him a way out of every problem and will bless him from where he does not expect.
أنا كنت في 23 سنة أو 22 أو واحد لا أتذكر.
I was about 21 to 23 years old, I don't remember.
أقرأ قواعد الزقاق في قواعد الفقه.
I was reading the قواعد الزقاقي and قواعد الفقه.
وكان الشيخنا المراق الحاج رحمه الله تعالى بعد العصر في ظل خيمته.
And at that time, our Sheikh Murad al-Hajj was under the shade of his tent after Asr.
وكان من الطلاب في ذلك الوقت قليل.
And there were very few students in that time. It was in the summer, so there were many people went. Very few people remained. So I came to him as I would normally do. I entered upon him and he said, "Oh, so and so." That he called me. He had a nickname for me. That he called me. That he said, "Oh, give me that book." So I got him the book that he asked for. That book, I didn't know what that book was. It didn't have a title on it. So he opened the book. It was لامية الزقاق, a book written, a poem by that Moroccan scholar, the same Moroccan scholar, who he wrote it about warning of taking positions of leadership in government, of being judges. A book warning against taking those authority positions from the government. So he opened the book. And I remember he was reading from his own writing when he had memorized or learned the book. He wrote it with his own handwriting. And he was reading from his own handwriting and I was following along. He said, "Oh young man, never become a judge." Meaning never take any position like that. Never take any position where you're indebted to an institution. It's somebody else's interest that you're applying.
تعجبت جدا. أنا ما كنت أتخيل أنني سأخذ وظيفة أو أفكر عنها أو لأن أنا عائلتي ما فيهم أحد يدخل المدرسة أصلا.
I was just shocked. I never thought that I'd be even considering taking any position of leadership or being made a judge or taking any position of authority with any institution. Or being an imam even or a teacher in a university. My family never went, no one in my family ever went to any university.
المهم بعدما جئت من الدراسة وأنا في 27 من العمر رأيت الأمر على ما تحقق.
So then once I finished studying when I was 27 years old, then I saw what he was talking about.
فجئت إلى ولاية كيفا الولاية الثالثة في موريتانيا.
I came to the state of Kifa, the second biggest state in Mauritania.
فجاءني بعض الأصدقاء وقالوا يا فلان هناك معاهد في نواكشوط وهناك كذا وكذا والناس يحتاجون.
I was told, oh, so and so, there is a whatever in the capital. There is a lot of positions that are open, and they need you over there to teach and so on, to take those roles and those positions.
وأنا ما عندي من المال إلا ما يدفعه لي أبو بكر.
And I had no money except that which Abu Bakr al-Garguri gives me, which is nothing. I told them no.
وبعد ذلك جاءت فرص أخرى.
And after that, other opportunities came.
ثم مضت 5 سنين.
And then 5 years passed.
وتزوجت الزوجة الأولى.
And I was married to my first wife.
وقعت أشياء وضغوط مادية فقرية وأشياء ولكن الأمر عادي.
And we were in a state of, subhanAllah, there was so much pressure and need, subhanAllah, but we persisted.
وكنت في زيارة لشيخنا المرابط الحاج رحمه الله تعالى فقابلت حمزة يوسف وبعض الزوار هناك وكان يعرفني جيدا.
So then I was visiting Sheikh Murabit al-Hajj, and then at that time Hamza Yusuf was visiting as well.
قال لي يا فلان هل لا زرتنا في أمريكا؟
And he was visiting at the same time, and he knew me well. So he told me, Sheikh Sadiq, why don't you visit us in America?
تكلمنا عن هذا الشيء وأعطاني مقابل $300 لأصلح بها الجواز.
So then he encouraged me, and then he gave me about $300 to get my passport together.
أنا ما عندي باسبور.
Because I didn't have a passport. How can I come without a passport?
كان قد سأل عني مرات عبد الله بن أحمد حفيد المرابط الحاج هل يمكن فلان أن يأتينا هنا؟
And then Sheikh Abdullah ibn Ahmadna, the grandson
كان سأله هنا
of the Murabit al-Hajj, was already here in California, and he was asking him, you should bring Sheikh Sadiq, you should bring Sheikh
قال هل
Sadiq.
يمكن أن يأتينا فلان؟
Can Sheikh Sadiq come here?
قال لا أعتقد.
He said, I don't think he's going to come.
المهم
هو الذي سأل
لا لا حمزة سأل عبد الله.
هو الذي نعم. So actually it was the other way around. Hamza Yusuf was the one who was asking Sheikh Abdullah. He said, do you think Sheikh Sadiq would come here? And then Sheikh Abdullah was like, I don't think he would come.
المهم الأقدار هذا فقط تحقيق ولاية المرابط أهم شيء هذا. المهم الأقدار جاءت وبعد ذلك جاءت فترة ولم يتحقق. أنا ما فكرت عن ذلك ما فكرت. بقيت عندي تلك النقود وما فكرت عنها.
So then, subhanAllah, I just forgot about the matter. Some time passed, and I wasn't focusing on the matter, and that money I had kept it untouched. And then now those some students of Hamza Yusuf, they came, and they again to Mauritania to check on me and to try to get me to come again. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed that I needed some treatment, so I came here for some treatment. So I was supposed to only spend a few months in America and to go back after that. And then Allah willed for the matter to change after that. So they had Zaytuna, they were establishing Zaytuna, they said we want you to have a faculty position or an important position in Zaytuna. I said, if you want to give me money or not money, that's up to you. I'm not going to take up a position. And then you know what happened after that. That there was all sorts of groups that were making me similar offers. I said, I do not want a job from you. I do not want any of these positions. So repeatedly, this advice of Mauritania al-Hajj has helped me and benefited me in ways I could not imagine. Every time I see people doing what's right and I see them, then I see them flip. And then I say, Alhamdulillah. I wasn't taking, I'm not working for you, and my state, I remain to be how I am.
المهم لا يغتر الإنسان بما عليه الناس المهم هو يثبت فقط المهم يثبت.
The important thing is the person is not changed by the changing of other people. The important thing is a person to remain steadfast and consistent.
جاءت الناس وخرجت وتغيرت وحاولت فنعاد.
People come and they go and they change and they try and they plot and they plan. That's life.
هذه الحياة.
This is what life is.
كل يوم هو في شأن.
Every day there's a different matter that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has unfolded over us.
هذا هو الحياة.
This is life.
تلك الأيام نداولها بين الناس.
These are the days that we alternate amongst the people.
يوم لك ويوم عليك.
Day for you and a day against you. This is normal.
جاءت عاد ذهبت عاد.
Things come, things go, no problem.
هذا ملك الله يصرف الأمر من حال إلى حال.
This is the kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
يقلب الأمر من حال إلى حال عادي.
Allah changes the matter from one state to
من
another.
المغير؟ الله.
Who is the one who changes things?
تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء.
You give the kingdom to whom you will. You remove dominion from whom you will. You honor whom you will, and you humiliate whom you will.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل صلاة تامة وسلم سلاما تاما على نبي تفرج به الكرب وتزال به الهموم وتدرك به الرغائب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الآمال ويستسقى الغمام بوجهه الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم. يا ربي بالمصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم. يا ربي بالمصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم. يا ربي بالمصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر حوائج الجود والكرم. يا ربي بالمصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم. يا ربي بالمصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر حوائج الجود والكرم. يا ربي بالمصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر حوائج الجود والكرم. يا ربي بالمصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم. يا ربي بالأسماء وأسماء النبي حقق مرادنا وعجل مطلبي. يا ربنا بحقه الأسماء أعزنا بالأرض والسماء. 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 وعلي قدرنا الدني بقدرها عندك واسقنا رحيق سرها. وعافنا بها من البلاء وعافنا بها من البلاء وعافنا بها من البلاء وأولنا الشكر على الآلاء والنصر عاجلا على الأعداء والنصر عاجلا على الأعداء والنصر عاجلا على الأعداء. أنت المجيب فأجب الدعاء وهب لنا بها لدى المنية خاتمة حسنية الأمية بأرض طيبة المرضية صلى عليه خالق البرية. والدفن في البقيع بعد النشر بدين الإله ببلاد الكفر. والدفن في البقيع بعد نشر بدين الإله ببلاد الكفر. والدفن في البقيع بعد نشر دين الإله ببلاد الكفر. وأنت من ربنا العلي لنا بحال حسن عظيم. 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 وفي الختام إنني شاد النبي بصاحبيه لحصول المطلب. وفي الختام إنني شاد النبي بصاحبيه لحصول المطلب. وفي الختام إنني شاد النبي بصاحبيه لحصول المطلب. صلى وسلم على الهادي الأمين وآله وصحبه مبارك. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. عدد خلقك ورضاء نفسك وزنة عرشك ومن بكلماتك سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك. سبحان ربك رب العزة
تعمل اسمه